The Club World Cup quarter-finals start tomorrow, and while I've previously stated that I'm not really interested in this competition, I have sort of changed my mind on that because it's interesting to see all of the non-European teams really competing and some really cool matchups that you wouldn't expect to see, like Boca Juniors versus Benfica or Flamengo versus Chelsea. Flamengo actually outclassed the Blues and beat them 3-1, so what I'm trying to say here is that it's very entertaining with a lot of surprises from teams that we don't really know too much about. So in this video I'm just going to try and predict the Club World Cup quarter-finals. There's 4 matchups and 4 very interesting ones in my opinion. So before we get started, feel free to subscribe if you haven't already. It's completely free and the worst case scenario is that you just unsubscribe later. But with that out of the way, let's get started with the first matchup, which is Chelsea versus Palmeiras. Now this is a tricky one to predict. It seems like Chelsea are the favourites here, which is fair enough. They had a good season under Enzo Maresca in the Premier League, finishing 5th, winning the Conference League of course, and they've made the signings of João Pedro and Liam Delap big improvements to their strike force. Pedro Neto has had a really good tournament in this Club World Cup, but obviously they have lost to a Brazilian team already in this competition against Flamengo, like I mentioned earlier. They lost 3-1 and Flamengo were the better team, but still you definitely can't write off Chelsea. Squad wise they are a lot better than their opponents Palmeiras, but Palmeiras, they top their group ahead of Inter Miami, Porto and Al Ahly. Not the best competition, but you can only play what's in front of you. They then beat Botafogo, who were able to beat PSG in the group stage if you remember, so they certainly aren't a bad team either. The main talking point here of course is Esteval. As soon as Palmeiras get knocked out of the Club World Cup, he transfers to Chelsea, so this could be his final game against his future club for his current club. He's a very talented and promising young winger. A lot of clubs were after him, but Chelsea were able to agree the deal, so that should just add an extra layer of interest to this game, which is a pretty tough one to predict. In this tournament, I think Palmeiras have actually been better than Chelsea. Yes, they've not come up against properly elite opposition yet, but they are unbeaten in this competition. Chelsea are not, and while they did impress against Benfica, they still had to go to extra time. There was a big delay in that match of course, and Chelsea eventually ran out 4-1 winners. But yeah, this is a tough one to predict, but I think I'm gonna back Chelsea here for a 2-1 win. Esteval yet to register a goal contribution in the Club World Cup. He's gonna score on what will turn out to be his final game for Palmeiras, but Chelsea will have too much quality and win the game. It'll be very close though. I wouldn't be surprised if this one goes to extra time, or even if Palmeiras cause an upset. Considering what we've seen so far in this tournament, it seems like anything can happen, and these Brazilian teams have been putting up really good fights against European opposition. And speaking of Brazilian teams overperforming, the next game is Fluminense versus Al Hilal, and we were expecting this one to be Inter Milan versus Man City, but 2 upsets means that a non-European team has a route to the semi-finals. So first let's talk about Fluminense. They've got a 40-year-old Thiago Silva playing at centre-back. They played extremely well against Inter Milan, beating them 2-0. They drew 0-0 against Borussia Dortmund in the group stage, meaning they faced 2 European clubs and kept 2 clean sheets. Very impressive indeed. This is a team that finished 13th in the Brazilian League in 2024. Obviously it's still going in 2025. 11 games in, they're in 6th. So they certainly aren't the best Brazilian team, but in this tournament they're unbeaten. They've overcome very high quality opposition, and they will definitely fancy their chances to get through to the semi-finals against Al Hilal, who are also a pretty good team. They beat Manchester City, who seemed like they were back onto their best form after beating Juventus 5-2, but it didn't really work out in the first knockout match against Al Hilal, who, let's not forget, have some very good players. This isn't a team of random Saudi nobodies. This is the likes of Koulibaly, Neves, Cancelo, Bono in goal, had a really good game against Man City. Many more talented players who recently played in European leagues. Now Al Hilal have brought in Inzaghi, former Inter Milan manager. He's only been here about a week or 2. His team is playing some very good football. Now both teams finished 2nd in their group, Al Hilal behind Real Madrid, Fluminense behind Dortmund. I think my prediction for this one is going to be a 1-0 win for Al Hilal. Fluminense, they are good defensively, as I said, clean sheets against Dortmund and Inter, but I think Al Hilal are the better team, just on what I've seen, which isn't every game, so feel free to disagree in the comments. But yeah, for me, Al Hilal will progress. But again, this is a game that could go either way. It's a very close one. I would not be at all surprised if Fluminense managed to find a way through, but I have to make a prediction, and I think Al Hilal just have that little bit more quality. But now let's focus on the next game, PSG versus Bayern Munich. I honestly think the winner of this match will win the whole tournament. These have been the two most impressive teams. PSG, despite an early defeat to Botafogo that came really out of nowhere after they'd hammered Atletico 4-0, they're obviously the champions of Europe with very high quality players in every position. We saw them outclass Inter Miami in the last 16. João Neves was the star man. What a tournament he's having, and what a season he's had, to be honest. He's been one of the best young midfielders in the world. Him and Vitinha are a brilliant partnership, and yeah, we all know the quality that PSG have. They're very good tactically as well under Enrique. They've got a very solid defence with players like Mendes, Hakimi, Pacho, Donnarumma, who's probably the best goalkeeper in the world right now, and in the attack, players like Kvaratskhelia and Dembele, who's probably going to win a Ballon d'Or, and rightly so. There are just so many brilliant on-form players in that team. However, I've been slightly more impressed with Bayern in this tournament. They beat Auckland 10-0, of course. That was a massive win. And then against Boca, they were the first team to beat a South American side, breaking their unbeaten run. They did lose to Benfica in their final group game, but they were already guaranteed to go through by that point. And in the last 16, they were very, very good against a strong Flamengo side. They've got very good players, Bayern, Kane, Elise, Musiala on form. And I think they will be able to beat PSG. I know that's a very bold prediction, considering how dominant the Parisian side has been this season against other big European teams. 5-0 against Inter, 4-0 against Atletico. They've beaten Arsenal, Liverpool, Man City. They always find a way through, but I don't think they will against this Bayern side. It feels like they've been the strongest team in this Club World Cup, and I'm not quite sure why. But I'm going to go for a Bayern win, 2-1, Harry Kane to back the winner. In my opinion, this is the highest quality matchup in the Club World Cup so far. Two of the best teams in the world, but I think Bayern will win. These teams actually faced earlier in the season. This was back in the group stages when neither team was at their best. PSG finished 15th, if you remember, in the UCL League phase, but ended up winning the entire tournament. So I can't really base too much on that matchup, but Bayern did win 1-0. It was a close game. I think it will be similar this time around. I'm just sensing a bit of an upset, Bayern Munich to go through. And now moving on to the final matchup, Real Madrid versus Borussia Dortmund. Madrid beat Juventus in the last 16. Trent Alexander-Arnold, who's had a pretty quiet tournament so far, put in a very good cross to assist Gonzalo Garcia, who is having an amazing tournament. 3 goals, 1 assist. Scored the winner against Juventus. He looks like a really promising forward. With Mbappe out with an illness, Garcia has definitely stepped up with some really good performances. And we know obviously how much quality Madrid have in that squad. The likes of Vinicius, Valverde, Bellingham, new signing Dean Howson as well has settled in nicely, had a really good game against Juventus. And overall I think Madrid are starting to perform very well under Xabi Alonso. They've looked comfortable growing into this tournament, but they're up against a strong Dortmund side. Now Joe Bellingham got a suspension after picking up a second consecutive yellow card, meaning that he won't face his brother Jude. But let's talk about Dortmund. They've been very good this tournament as well, unbeaten. They topped their group ahead of Fluminense, Mamelodi Sundowns and Ulsan HD. They then beat Monterrey in the last 16 to go through to the quarterfinals. Guirassy seems like their best player at the moment. I mentioned him in the last video. He's a very high quality striker. He's strong, he's very composed in front of goal, always getting into the right positions, and he'll put in a strong performance in the games where it matters. We saw it in the Champions League this season as well against the likes of Barcelona. This guy is a real danger to defences. One of the most underrated players in world football right now. He is Dortmund's main man. So definitely don't underestimate Borussia Dortmund, but I think Real Madrid are the better team here. They will go through. I think it's going to be close though, maybe 3-2, a bit of a high scoring game. It will be interesting to see how Real Madrid do in what will probably be their first game against a really on-form team. Juventus are obviously very good, but recently they've not been performing too well. 4th in Serie A, lost to Man City. Dortmund look like a much better side. This is a repeat of the Champions League final last season, of course, so it should be a really interesting game. And if Real Madrid manage to do well here, I think they could have a really good chance of winning the whole tournament. And I very much look forward to that semi-final game, Real Madrid or Dortmund versus PSG or Bayern. This side of the bracket is just very interesting to me for big European super teams. But let's not underestimate the other side. Chelsea, Palmeiras, Fluminense and Al Hilal have all impressed during this tournament, and it will be very interesting to see what happens in these quarterfinals. So there are my predictions. Real Madrid 3, Dortmund 2, Chelsea, Al Hilal, Bayern and Real Madrid to go through. Let me know what you think in the comments, and yeah, that's about it from me. Thanks for watching. Feel free to subscribe, and I will see you later. I'm not sure why you're still here. You should probably just click that video there and then you can watch it. It's very good. I'm not sure which one it actually is yet, because I'll put it on later when I upload this video, but you know, it's probably good. You should click it.